What's up, guys? This is my secret marketing mindset hack to make money in whatever the fuck you do. Marketing is free money. Money plugged into marketing is free money. It's just gone, right? Invested money is free money. It's just gone. But let's talk about marketing. Let's say you spend on these flyers right here. I spent $40. And I might not make money back on them, and I got to be okay with that. But the money's just gone. You never spend money that you don't have on shit that you don't need, right? You never spend money you don't have on shit that you don't necessarily need, right? I have to have a nice house, so this shit has to pay off eventually. But how I've learned to see marketing is, once you spend the money on your investments, for example, you plug 10 million into EFTs. Hold on, ETFs, exchangeable fungible ETFs. It's like a second stock mutual fund. It's almost like a mutual fund. It's like a small portfolio of stocks that you could buy on any stock exchange. Once you plug the 10 million, what you want, baby? Once you plug, you want a treat? These treats, $2. This is dinner for my dog right here. $2 a bag, dude. I don't need all this fucking money, but this shit has to pay off eventually because I literally have a need to live in a certain house. It's a need. It's not just a want, it's a need. I need this to be happy. So this shit has to pay off eventually, but how I've learned to see things is, let's say I plug 10 million into ETFs. Not to be confused with EFTs, which is in the crypto department. ETFs is a small portfolio of stocks, maybe like 10 different stocks, to make sure that you always make money annually. Year after year, ETFs typically make about 6% per year. So, how I've learned to see marketing and investments is it's just free money. It's money plugged in that you're never going to touch or see ever again. And you never invest into marketing with money you don't have. Investments are different. Investments, you have an obligation to yourself to invest at least 10% of all money you ever make. But you have to learn to see that money as, once it's invested, it's just gone. That 10 million bucks is gone. You're never going to see that 10 million bucks ever again, but over the course of many years, 15 years, you're actually going to see a profit. But it's not about profit, it's about being efficient and getting a little bit back from your investment. And when it comes to marketing, obviously you never spend money you don't have. You never spend your last on like one last failed marketing campaign. If you're not making money from your current marketing, and if your business is going down like this, you want to cut it from like spending 40% of your profits on marketing to spending maybe 20% and maybe even 15 down to 10%. Because if you're running a failed business, you don't want to spend your last money on like one last marketing campaign. You want to secure your ass. You want to cover your ass so that you never have to worry about money ever again, regardless, right? 10 million invested at 5% per year is $500,000 a year free money. So 20 million invested, and the likelihood that the returns are going to diminish over time. You have to count on, if you invest 20 million, which is my goal, just to make $1 million a year in free money, is my current goal, to have a minimum of 20 million invested by the time I'm 40. Once you plug money into investments, the money's just gone. You're never going to see that money ever again. You're never going to touch that money ever again. As long as you're making a sizable enough return to afford your lifestyle, everything extra is just fucking extra. You never take out 10 million from investments. If you have, 30 million invested, you never take out 10 million from your investments to buy another house. It's just not optimal. It's not efficient, and it's not smart. And you never spend your last on another failed marketing campaign, because if you're spending your last on another final marketing campaign, chances are it's like a fucking scratch-off lottery ticket, and that's what marketing is to begin with. You got to dabble in marketing with many different products. In the e-com business, like how I'm entering right now, the e-com business, the e-com industry, you have to test like a minimum of 10 different products before you find one that really works. And then you could plug in $10 and make $15 as many times a day as possible, and you optimize your marketing strategy to be as efficient as possible, going down to a science. So let's say if you're making $5 per transaction, there's going to be a ceiling on how many transactions you can make a day. It's not just infinite. If you're marketing to an audience of a million people, there's only going to be about maybe 1,000 people who want to buy your product. And only about 500 of those people are actually going to pull the trigger and buy your product. So you're making 500 sales. In a market of 10 million people, you might make a couple hundred sales a day. If you make $5 per transaction, it's going to be diminishing over how many people you're reaching with your ads. So the sweet spot is like to make $2 to $3 per transaction, but you're making more transactions. Eventually, you make less money per day, but more transactions per day, simply by shoving it down the customer's throat to literally create more transactions. But more transactions to a small pool of potential buyers could actually mean less money per day. So you want to optimize it to increase your per day, per week, per month, per year value. You never look into a fucking year into the future in the e-com industry. You're literally looking only maybe 10 days into the future to optimize your per day profits, per week profits. You never really look more than 30 days into the future when it comes to e-com. But once you make that first $1 million, what I recommend you do, is a strong recommendation, is invest that money straight away. Once you hit $1.2 million in the bank account, throw $1 million into investments straight away. That'll pay your mortgage. You can live in a small house. It's fine. No one's going to judge you. You're not a fucking billionaire yet, so you're not going to be super famous with some sort of quality of life standard that you have to abide by. No one knows who you are, and no one gives a fuck who you are. It doesn't really matter. Go and buy yourself, an economical car until you hit like $5 million, $10 million net worth, liquid cash. That first $10 million I make cash money is going straight into investments, and I'm going to be getting a clean $200K a year after taxes, free money, hands-free money, with that first $10 million I see in my pocket. I'll take $2 million and use that to fund my business, and I'm always going to be living until I hit like 15 million, 20 million, 30 million. I'm always going to be living in a pretty economical house. But that first 12 million bucks I make is going to be used to buy me a $500,000 house, a nice enough house, a nice enough house, a nice enough car. I don't need to drive a fucking Lamborghini with my first 12 million bucks. That's where most people get it twisted. Number one is you really don't even want to drive a Lamborghini because people going to be looking and shit. When you pull up to Chipotle in a Lamborghini, when you pull up to the club in a Lamborghini, you're going to get gold diggers that want to pay for your Chipotle. They want to buy you lunch. As if buying me lunch when I have a fucking Lamborghini is doing me a fucking favor by buying me my $15 double steak Chipotle burrito bowl. I start eating Chipotle burrito bowls now because the tortilla is like 40 grams of carbs, which is just no bueno. I don't want an extra, 150 calories of carbohydrates just for a tortilla unless it's my pre-workout meal, which I often do. But post-workout is always like, if it's a pre or post workout meal, like I try to go without the tortilla because carbs are useless to a large degree. I try to follow principles of like keto. I try to maximize protein, minimize fats, and minimize carbs, and especially minimize fats. I might eat an avocado toast, pre-workout. That's like my most extravagant caloric expenditure. But let's go back to the subject of money. Yeah, so if you ever see $1 million in your pocket, let's say if you win a fucking scratch off ticket and you got $1 million in your pocket, invest that money straight away, and that's money that you'll never touch or see ever again. But that's a free $20,000 a year after taxes that is just going to be rolling in for the rest of your life. And that's so important to realize. It's the rest of your life. Worst case scenario, you'll have as much money as a welfare recipient making like $10,000, a year, which is still going to pay for your food and property taxes and shit like that. And if you don't know the rules of welfare, I know money like the back of my hand. Okay, that's my life's mission, is to understand money by the time I'm like 60, to understand money perfectly well, with a couple like stipulations to the rule. Like, once I'm rich, I never want to be broke again. I never want to have to know what it's like to go from having it to not having it, because I've done that once before. And yeah, so I plugged $40 into these flyers. 100 flyers right here. Right? And that's money that I may never see again. It's just a gamble. Marketing is always a gamble until you find a winning product. And even when you find a winning product, how long does that really last? But maybe a couple weeks to maybe a few months. And then it's over. Coca-Cola makes a shitload of money shoving the idea of Coca-Cola down people's throats and adding addictive chemicals into their products so that people keep coming back. In fact, I don't have it here with me at the computer, but I bought a bottle of Coca-Cola today. Coca-Cola, at the end of the day, is a putrid, nasty beverage that is unhealthy and expensive. But I bought a bottle of Coca-Cola today because it's just fucking, hey, you gotta have a bottle of Coke every now and then, That's the idea that it puts in your mind because it plays on your fucking chemistry, right? Apple cider vinegar is very healthy. And I don't run to the store to buy a bottle of apple cider vinegar when I'm down to my last $5. But when I'm down to my last $5, I run to the store and buy a bottle of Coca-Cola. And drink a bottle of Coca-Cola, but I'll never be down to my last $5 ever again. Give me like a couple more weeks. of working this new job and coming off of welfare, and I'll never be down to my last $5 ever again. And if that's not a sweet deal, then I don't know what is, because a fucking cheesy gordita crunch from Taco Bell is all like garbage. I'm gonna make a separate video about this, but when you invest money into marketing, you have to accept the fact that you may never see that money again. When you invest money into investments like stocks, real estate, you have to accept that that's money that you're never going to touch ever again. It's just free money coming in every month for the rest of your life. And you just have to accept that like, there's always going to be that possibility that you go fucking crazy and decide to liquidate your real estate portfolio when you get that fucking phone call like, hey, I'll give you $1 million for your condominiums. For your real estate portfolio, I'll give you $1 million cash. Even if it's a sweet deal on paper, let's say the condominiums are worth $600,000 and you get an offer for $1 million. Think about how long it took you to hunt down those deals. That all that's doing is contributing to the rising cost of housing in America. Where when I was coming up, when I was 16 years old, a condominium you could find, if you searched religiously, you could find a condominium in the suburbs for like $30,000. Nowadays, that same condominium costs $100,000 minimum, like $120,000 for the same one. The only place you could find real estate. The only place you could find a rental property for less than $100,000 is in the fucking slums or the ghetto or whatever, where no one wants to live anyways. There's like a meme on the internet like, oh, when you move into that apartment for $750 a month. $750 a month used to buy you a fucking apartment in the suburbs. Now you gotta live in the fucking ghetto where there's gangs and shit, and drugs and violence and all kinds of crazy shit going on in the ghetto. And I know because I'm from there. I lived in the ghetto for about 4 years before I had to get the fuck out of there. I live in a very good community right now. For example, these flyers is $40 that I may never see again. It's just a spin on the fucking roulette wheel of success. Money invested into stocks and real estate and ETFs and crypto and stuff. You have to accept crypto's different, but crypto you typically want to get in and out within like 2 years, right? But let's say you invest money into stocks. Let's say I invest $20 million into stocks, which at the end of the day is like, what is it, like $600K a year in free money that is just free money. Point is I'll never, once that happens, once I get that, I guess my real goal is $1 million a month. That's my only goal in life, is $1 million a month in free money, in investment income, real estate, stocks, crypto, businesses, especially e-com. E-com is real hot right now. You want to accept the fact that you're never going to see that 20 million ever again. That's basically what it is you have to accept that you'll never see that 20 million cash ever again, but slowly over the course of 25 years, it's going to trickle back to make a profit, but it's not even necessarily about profit. It's just about sustaining a quality of life. So with my first 20 million bucks, guess what I'm going to do? First thing I'm going to fucking do, go to my brokerage account and dump just everything into ETFs. Mutual funds, ETFs, stocks, real estate. I want to buy an apartment building. I might even buy 2 apartment buildings. Real estate is kind of sketchy because you gotta spray for bed bugs and cockroaches all the time. You got people moving from the ghetto where there's bed bugs and cockroaches, and you might have to suffer through like spending some good money on spraying for cockroaches and shit. You never want to deal with a cockroach invested. If you're investing $5 million into an apartment building, you never want to find out 5 years down the line that motherfucker's infested with cockroaches or bed bugs or rats. You know. So you never play around with your marketing money. You never play around with your marketing money. You know, at the end of the day, you want to put that money where you know that you've got money coming in the other side. The Coca-Cola Corporation makes billions shoving the idea of Coca-Cola down people's throats. Over the course of 40 years, they started making money. They started making good money. Until then, it was like fucking peanuts. Because it became a part of literally the social narrative. It became a part of the social consciousness. You go to the gas station, oh look, there's a bottle of Coca-Cola, I'm gonna grab one of those and grab a fucking Mountain Dew too. But money invested is like, you're never gonna touch that money ever again. It's to secure your future for the rest of your life. So worst case scenario, if you invest, you know, you say you're 60 years old, you take out your Roth IRA and you got $1 million, that's $20,000 a year in free money that you could even leave behind for your kids. What most people do is they go and buy a house and they pay off their house over the course of 40 years. And then their kids get a lump sum of like, what, $30,000, $50,000 when they sell the house. Stock investments is going to give you, like, I would rather live in a 1-2 bedroom condo. It's kind of hard to find a 1-bedroom condo, you know. Even being on Section 8, I couldn't get into a 1-bedroom apartment. I have 2 bedrooms in my house. Well, this is like a living room, and then there's a bedroom and a kitchen and a bathroom, and that's literally it, and a couple closets and shit. But I use this room as a bedroom as well, because, you know, it's marketed as a 2-bedroom like a 2-bedroom apartment. I live, you know, in a nice community. Without Section 8 is like $800 a month, which is not fucking bad. And for an example, you know, right now I'm working 2 jobs and receiving welfare. I get about $400 a month in welfare. I make about, you know, $400 a month from one of my jobs, and I make about $2,000 a month from my new job that I'm starting today. I work, you know, 9 hours a day at my full-time job. I work about 6 hours a day at my part-time weekend job, and I get welfare. So I'm making like $30K a year, you know, I'm making like $30K a year fucking for all the work I'm putting in. So if I had a proper education, I could be making $70K a year to sit on my fucking ass, which is the goal right now. Speaking of which, I am going to school right now. I'm taking a boot camp in coding. So I got to get to that. I hope this video taught you something about financial literacy. It's very important to have investments because those investments are going to grow and compound over time. Yeah, so bye.